this event today is we're celebrating the close of the year for the open houses at the James Keith House. We're showing people how the housewife or ladies of the home would prepare for winter. And we're demonstrating rug braiding and how they could make things around the house to keep busy, functional items, storing food, keeping the fire going, candle making, knitting. Well, the house was built in 1662, and it wasn't nearly as big as it is now. It was just it was a two-level, probably one-level room over to the right here.
Reverend James Keith, he came to the United States, to our country. He was brought here by Deacon Edson to be the first minister or reverend in the town of Bridgewater. And where you're standing was where the original settlement of Bridgewater started. So although it's not considered the center of Old Bridgewater, and Old Bridgewater was a pretty big area, so we thought. And it consisted of 4 towns. Those 4 towns that we now know is Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Brockton, and East Bridgewater. Okay, back in the day, Brockton was considered North Bridgewater.
Thank you very much.
So Reverend Keith was brought in to be the Reverend. He was only 18 years old when he was brought in here. Can you believe that? It's crazy. And this house was actually built specifically for him in 1662. And if you look over in the corner here, you'll see that corner beam. That is an original 1662 beam. So now when the house was first built, it wasn't as big as what you see today. It was only about half the size. And as we go through the house, I'll show you what's new and what's old. Not that the new part is much older or much younger than the old part. The addition went on in 1678, so it's, you know, just a handful of years later. So when Reverend Keith came, his church hadn't been completed yet, and he ended up delivering his first sermon up at Pulpit Rock, which is right up the road here in the West Bridgewater Park. Everybody's, yeah, I think that's awesome, because I'll tell you, I didn't know a lot of this when I was a lot younger, so that's fantastic. So, one thing that, obviously Deacon Edson brought him here to be the Reverend of Bridgewater, but it turned out that Deacon Edson was also his father-in-law. Deacon Edson had a daughter, Susanna, who turned into Miss James Keith, and in this house they raised their family. We know, based on what's in print, that they had at least 9 children. We've heard 11 and we've heard 14, but we have confirmed 9. It is also rumored that through King Philip's War in 1675-76, that Reverend Keith was, he played a pivotal role in keeping King Philip's wife and son safe, and possibly prolonging the shipping of them off to foreign shores to be sold into slavery. So he was really sort of a peace and love kind of a guy. So, which is really encouraging to know. So speaking of the war, behind you, we've sort of turned this into a little bit of a memento room, I guess, where we've done a little bit of a curation. In the short case, it depicts what the settlers in the area would have maybe had brought with them, in comparison to what the natives would have had. So obviously you see the musket and you see the bow, what one pipe would look like as compared to the other pipe from the natives. And then in the tall case, there are a lot of artifacts representing Native American tools. Were they found on this property?
I don't believe that they were found on this property, but I know that they weren't found too far away. Over in the Titicut section of Bridgewater, are you folks familiar with the Titicut section of Bridgewater? There was a very, very large archaeological dig back in the late 60s, early 70s, and it's
probably one of the biggest unearthings of Native American tools and so forth.
A lot of artifacts in this house that go back to the Keith family. We have Keith's Bible, we have Keith's glasses, we have a Keith fork, but a lot of the artifacts that were donated here are from the Keith family throughout the years. My personal favorite is a chair over here that goes back to 1623. Now that to me is gold. What I love about the items is they were simple, but they worked. They could make tools out of anything, and it just seemed to work, and I love the simplicity of it. And the young people that come into the Keith house are always in awe of how creative they were with their tools and their items, and how you could just take a gourd, for instance, and use that for so many things, for a water vessel, to a bowl, to decorations, to mix herbs in. What we are trying to do is just, as I said, preserve the history and educate the public about what happened in the past. King Philip's War, where the old gristmill was. War Memorial Park, people just go see a dog walking park, but actually that was a huge center of town. They had a gristmill there, they had a tannery there. That's where James Keith gave his first sermon on Pulpit Rock when he was 18 years old. Anything about the architecture in the home, anything about genealogy. We have a lot of good genealogists in the Historical Society that we could help out with any questions that they have, or at least lead them in the right direction. We're having the Autumn Craft Fair tomorrow at the Memorial Building on Howard Street. There's going to be plenty of vendors, all handmade crafts, nothing store-bought. Everything's going to be from local artists. Very talented people.
I make homemade soaps. They're 100% natural. These are the ingredients. It's coconut oil, vegetable shortening, olive oil, water, lye, and the spiced mahogany is the one that got me started in all of this, because I used to buy it, and now I turned it into several different fragrances.
We are M&D's Designs. We're a family-run company where we make handmade teddy bears, and we have embroidered sayings. We have teddy bears for any and all occasions and any and all ages. But this is normally my mom's business, but I have to fundraise to get a service dog because I run a nonprofit organization that goes around the country teaching children about disabilities. So the service dog is going to allow me to travel by myself. So anything you purchase from our booth will go directly towards me getting a service dog.
It's probably the biggest event we've had in a long time, and we're very excited about it. If you click on www.oldbridgewater.org, you can click on the events button to find out any events that we have coming up in the future, or how to become a member. The annual fee is $20 with 4 newsletters that go out throughout the year. We're always interested in anyone who would like to volunteer. We're always looking for people that could lend a hand, or if somebody was interested in giving donations. We're a 501c3, and we completely rely on donations.